let's just get into it.
Yeah. No, you got to intro me.
No.
All right, down.
No, I'm kidding.
Let's go.
I'm kidding. No, I'm really excited to have you. Thank you so much for making time out of your very busy schedule.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you so much. God, what a whirlwind.
What a whirlwind. Anyway, my guest today is the incredibly talented professional photographer, filmmaker, Kelly Balch. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? 'Cause that's a debate in the community.
Really?
Deadass.
Around like
your last name.
My last
Yes.
name in our community. That's going. Is it Balch or like Balch?
People think it's Balch. I did for the longest time.
Well, I mean, honestly, okay, it's a Welsh last name and it's pronounced like Balch
oh, God.
in Welsh.
Yeah.
So, but here it's like Balch.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so no one's wrong. It doesn't matter. As long as you don't say Blatch, I'm like, wow, dyslexic. That's great.
Well, that's just fucking up the words.
You
or
have
the
no
letters.
idea. I've heard
Yeah.
a lot of things. Belch is another one. Belch, which makes sense because I feel like it's very similar, but whatever.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, that's like a debate. How do you pronounce her last
Wait,
name
really?
again?
Like that's what you guys
Deadass.
talk about when everyone's drunk at like 2 a.m. Everyone's like, wait, we need to really
We need to
discuss
figure
this.
out what's. I'm not kidding. I've had conversations with people like, how do you pronounce her last name? And I'm like, I think it's Balch.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad that that's the topic though. That's quite nice.
I love that we're debunking this.
Yeah.
Right now.
Hey everyone, right at camera. It's Balch.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thanks for that. I appreciate you. The crowd appreciates you.
Yeah. All the community.
The community
Thousands of
appreciates-
lesbians that are all wondering.
God.
And my pronouns are I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question.
Really?
Deadass.
I don't care.
How are you identifying these days?
How am I identifying? Busy.
Busy.
So I identify as non-binary, and I really feel really non-binary, like just feminine, masculine, and then so much that like blended that there's nothing like non-binary.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense for you.
I feel like we're both like that.
Yeah, you're just such a free-flowing spirit.
Yeah, and then some days it's kind of like there's a little bit of hints of what I do that's like masculine and feminine, but that's exactly what everybody also is. So, so it's just androgynous and non-binary. Whatever.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so I don't care about my pronouns. But I understand when people do care about them. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I do care about them. But
You do?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I will say that.
And what's your pronouns?
She, her.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. Come on, you know
I knew
that.
that.
You know that.
Like, what are they again? Zer? They. Do you go by they at all or no?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Some people try to do that for me, and I understand not assuming.
Yeah.
I understand using that as like the neutral term, but it doesn't feel right
Yeah.
to me
Yeah.
because I'm such a woman.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Full-bodied woman.
I should just, it's funny because my first question here is actually about your career, but now I'm like, should we just talk about being gay?
Yeah. Which my career is mainly gay.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyways, yeah.
It's true. But how did you get into photography and how did you build a profitable business based on your passion?
Great question. So when I was 13, my dad gave me his old film camera. And I've always been very, very, not expressive, but emotional. And like art, like an artist. And so I was always trying to paint. I was always writing poetry. I was always doing some type of medium that was expressing self, right? And then my dad gave me his camera, and that's when I started just taking photos. I was like, oh my God, I love photographing people. And I love photographing them doing these amazing things. And that's how I was like, I want to do this. And I remember just like looking up, because I'm such a Capricorn, like how much money does a photographer make? And it was like $30,000. I was like, damn. Like,
Yeah.
But so I kind of like got out of it because to me, I think, success is how much money to make.
I agree with you, but I'm also a Capricorn.
Right, we're both
So,
Capricorns.
yeah.
However, that idealism really did change just, I feel like, in the past like 5 years. But back then it was like, I need to make this amount of money to be successful. And so I was so lost in different careers, and like I was wanting to do law enforcement for a while. I was going to join the Navy, and I was about to swear in.
Wow.
It was a whole ordeal.
Wow.
And then finally I was like, nah, I just want to focus on photography because that's always been such a consistent thing. I was even a college athlete. Like I was.
Really?
Yeah. I
What
played
did you-
soccer. in
Soccer.
college.
Damn.
Got a
okay.
scholarship, was like, had a bunch of accolades and winning awards and going to nationals with my career. And I was like, do I
Wow.
want to be an athlete? And then guess what I did? I looked up how much money they make. And I was like, absolutely not.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You and I are the same person.
Yeah, it's really like,
Yeah.
it's funny because at first I was shaming myself for doing that, but I'm like, no, that was like a logical thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I was like, I want to try to focus on this photography because I really think I can actually do it. It's always been something that I really loved. And then especially when I was coming out myself of like understanding that I'm queer, I was like, I really want to photograph queer couples.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it started out photographing queer couples without it being legal for them to get married.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did this whole like project that was called One Love back in 2010. I don't even know if that word was viral then or whatever else, but the project that I shot was same-sex couples of like a gay and a lesbian and a hetero couple, and just saying like all one love, and it went viral on Tumblr. So I started a lot of couples started coming to me, and they were like, hey, can you photograph our like hidden ceremony, just like our partnership or domestic partnership ceremony? So I started photographing these queer couples, and I think it's the deep connection that I felt like was almost this activism kind of thing. Like I need queer couples to have proper representation and like to have this love being fully represented in the world. That I think that's what started the sustainability. Was I was someone to trust in the community.
Yeah.
And then because I was so emotionally connected to my clients, I think it even like with anybody, I just was photographing friends and photographing just that all word of mouth. I feel like for the first 10 years of my career, everything was word of mouth. And so that was the sustainability of my business. And
So you had no marketing at all?
no, I didn't need any marketing
Wow.
because I mean, you know how I talk and meet people, and
Yeah.
I just would be at like a bar or at like anything and just be like, yeah, I'm a photographer. And they're like, dude, I really like your energy. And I was like, dope. Like, let's shoot.
Yeah.
And that's how I built my business it's now 15 years, all word of mouth. And then Instagram became this amazing platform for it. So that just boomed across the world, and which I'm so grateful for, because then I got to travel the world and photograph weddings, queer weddings, and so yeah.
It's also an ongoing joke that you're never in town.
Never. That's when the late night of everyone discussing my
Yes.
my last name.
It's
They're
your
also
last
like,
name.
well, she's not here.
She's not here. It's like,
for real.
well, we could ask her, but she's probably somewhere in Italy. Like,
Yeah. I feel very blessed because I do love traveling so much.
yeah, I mean, I look at your life and I'm like, damn, one of these days, hopefully.
For you want to do that too?
Oh, yeah, I would love to travel the world.
See, the mindset is not one of these days. It needs to be now.
Yeah, you're right. I'm actually going on a trip
I
very
was
soon.
about to say, I was
the
like,
Caribbean.
you got something booked.
Oh, yeah, I do have something booked.
Where are you
At the
going?
end of the month, I'm going to the Caribbean.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. But it's
For-
the first vacation I've had in 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and when that really sunk in, it scared me. I was like, oh my God, I haven't done something like this for myself in 5 years.
That was the fear?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of the mindset that life is too short, especially after my mom passed away.
Yeah.
So, and she always wanted to do something like that. I don't know if she ever got the chance.
Did you ever go to Italy
Yeah, that was my last trip.
with her?
Yeah, 2019.
I remember
Italy.
when I was in Italy and you literally texted me saying that you were talking to your mom about me.
Mm-hmm.
I still like that. Still, this means a lot, and I hold that sacred.
Yeah. I love that you were there too.
In
You
Italy?
No, you were at the funeral.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
meant a
That
lot
was
to me.
the start of, I think, like our in-depth, type of relationship.
Yeah, for sure. It was very special to me that you were there.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Of course.
I feel like I've known your mom, and even though I never met her.
Yeah, I know. We have conversations like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel connected to the people who say that. For
Yeah.
Sure. It's funny that you were saying reading people's energies and kind of having this very good, well, I guess good energy about you got you into your career. Because my next question was the fact that you are so gifted in reading people and understanding people. And I was going to ask if that helps in your career or just day to day.
Absolutely. I use it all the time. All the time. I'm not going to work with somebody that I don't think not that I don't like their energy, that I don't think we're going to vibe and like they're going to understand my work and like, or that I can capture them.
Yeah.
But that's actually never been the case because I've been really blessed. And I think that's just how the law of attraction works, and like how you gravitate towards people is that anybody that comes to me and says, I love your energy, it's because they're reflecting their energy back. Simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So anybody that says that to me, I'm like, yeah, yours is amazing too. Let's chat, you know? And I feel like I'm very proud of sometimes how I really do the work of clearing my energy and like making sure it feels pure and like genuine, so that the people that I meet are, you know, at their essence that. Yeah. Well, everybody at their essence, I believe, is that, but it shows more and they see it. You know.
Well, you attract what you put out. Yeah, I think you're very.
We all
good
do.
At that. Yeah. You're very good at attracting good people. I've realized that.
Thank you.
Or holding good people close to you.
Yeah.
I'll phrase it.
I was like, well, I mean,
I'll phrase it that way.
You and I both know that we have attracted interesting people.
Yeah,
in our
definitely
lives.
attracted.
But again, that's always been a reflection of like my chaos within when I'm attracting those people, or another version of self, right? But yeah,
like your shadow self.
Yeah.
It's
funny because I know that that's a big thing of people saying shadow self, but we have so many different versions of, like, there are all these gray areas, and then it goes into light. Like I look at it as a huge spectrum of like darkness into gray into white, right? And it's just like we're always going to be vibrating between these whole things. It's not shadow and it's not light. It's like all these different kind of spectrums.
Ooh, that's interesting. I've never heard that before.
I kind of just made it up, but that's what I just believe everything's a spectrum. So I'm like, there's duality, but then there's everything in between, right? And so that's like us vibrating through it that we're just attracting.
That's a very 5D way of thinking about life.
Yeah, I've always
because 4D is the duality, right? Or is that
no,
3D?
3D is
3D is the duality.
4D is understanding the depth of the understanding of the duality, and then 5D is just transcending above it all. Like, I'm not above it all, but just looking and understanding it.
Yeah, that's interesting. My next question was, where did you get your sense of grit and ambition? Where does that come from?
Capricorn.
I know right? You're gonna answer this.
No, but my dad is a Capricorn, and my mom, like, obviously, like my parents, and then even their parents, they are very hardworking. My dad, like, you look at my siblings, we're all very hard workers. Yeah. And that's was something we always actually like talk about in family gatherings, of just like how hard we actually do work. And you know, again, that's such a proud and prideful thing in our family, but it's also like I'm there like making sure, hey, we have this balance because you can have fun and work, you know?
Yeah, totally. I believe in that balance. That was something my mom instilled into me because she was an entrepreneur for her entire life. Very successful entrepreneur, but she was always going kind of on and off on different projects. Yeah. And I was telling her one day that I worked for, I don't know, like 14 hours straight. And I was so proud of myself because I'm such a Capricorn.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I worked for 14 hours. And then I remember she sat me down and she had this long conversation with me about how important it is to have fun too. Yeah. She goes, one day it's all going to be gone. And you're not going to remember the work you did. You're going to remember the fun you had in between. Yeah. And that stuck with me. It's like, oh, shit.
And then I really believe that work is supposed to be fun. And then
that as well.
Like, I really, really believe that. And the moment that I feel like, oh, this is sucking me dry, then I'm like,
that's when you're out.
Yeah. That's like when I think like I'm like, that's what happened when it came to weddings. At one point, weddings were really just sucking me dry. And I was like, that's not okay. Yeah. I love and I love weddings. Like, what's going on? And that just gave me this kind of like deep understanding that I reached the ceiling of weddings. Or this is time to pivot and transform into this new type of elevation of what what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I remember you telling me that you were pretty much done with weddings.
It's funny because now, like, I love weddings.
Yeah.
It's the happiest day of someone's life. Like a lot of things in my life that has made me kind of be jaded about like weddings and love.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I had to like come back to self of understanding of like, oh, that was me being like hurt still.
Yeah.
So then now I feel like I've healed and come into full circle and that, and now I'm like, wait, I love weddings, but let's not do them so many. I did 30 to 40 weddings a year.
Oh my God.
By myself.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a lot.
I mean, I loved it. I really did. But yeah, then I was like, this is getting too much.
Yeah. Especially when you feel jaded towards the concept of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know what you've been through, so I can understand why you were feeling that way.
Yeah. I think that was an honest like response too of like, wait, I got to step back from love because I felt betrayed by it. But it was only, it wasn't betrayal. Now that I like kind of changed the mindset of it, it wasn't betrayal. It's basically like, again, I reached a ceiling of that version of love. And now I'm on to this new, different version of love.
What is that?
The new version of love?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait. It's a blend of not being so codependent as how I was before with my ex-wife and having this beautiful understanding of like, actually the other day someone said this to me and I thought it was so beautiful. Actually, Mads did.
Oh, really?
Mads.
Yeah.
Mads said that, like, you know, when you look at a flower and you want to pick it, you're like, God, this flower is so beautiful. Like, I'm going to pick it and I'm going to keep it. But then it just wilts and it ends up dying.
Yeah.
That's exactly how love is if you keep it for yourself. So I'd rather be, like, every day just going on the same walk or whatever and look at that flower and just saying, like, God, that's a gorgeous flower.
Yeah.
And let it live. That's the kind of love I want. Ooh. The new version of it.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like not, what's the analogy or what is it? Like the metaphor of the butterfly, like crushing the butterfly in your hands? Yeah. And when you just, if you let it lay there and it stays with you, then it's choosing to be with you.
Yeah.
But you have to just kind of let it breathe. And then if it chooses to fly away, then there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You just have to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just being in that flow of it. Because that's what love is, the energy, and energies it's ebb and flow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool.
What is yours?
No, I have a similar sort of feeling around love.
Yeah.
But God, I've been dealing with this a lot lately, like very recently. But what I've been trying to do is perfect my communication skills. And I have never been able to protect my own heart. And that's what I'm trying to practice now. Because I have the tendency to fall in very deeply and very fast.
Right.
And like any other lesbian. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. We're very emotional.
Very emotional. But I'm also just an emotional person.
Yeah, same.
So I tend, when I like someone, which doesn't happen often for me, it's very rare that I actually like someone. So when that happens, I think I have a fear of losing that or not being able to find it again. And because of that, I let my feelings fall by the wayside. So even if this person is actively hurting me, I choose to ignore my feelings because I'm so invested in who this person is.
To your detriment, yeah.
And I'm trying not to do that anymore. Like, let me protect myself and put my feelings first and trust the universe and that this could be my person or it could not.
Yeah.
And be okay with it either way.
It's so funny because of hearing you, I'm understanding it because that's the way I think. But I'm like, but also that's overthinking it.
That's overthinking it?
I don't know. Like, do you feel like sometimes we put too much logic into passion, into love, into like an emotion, into, you know?
Yes and no.
And I'm saying because, and just maybe others, but because you and I are very similar, like I'm projecting, by the way. Like I do that. I put too much logic into this emotion.
Yes and no. Because I think, yes, there is passion, but when you go fully blindly into passion, which is the mistake I've made in the past, I get really burned. So I'm trying to be more logical to protect my own heart. And then maybe once I develop a deeper understanding and trust with that person, that's when I can let go of that wall. Because I do think that falling in love does come with sacrifice, and it does come with the idea of surrender. But
yeah,
I've done it
absolutely.
too fast.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying not to do. And that's where I think logic comes into play.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because now my main thing is like when I'm surrendering, my partner or whoever is going to be on the opposite end of that has to reciprocate that surrender as well.
Yeah.
Because I've been in relationships where I'm completely surrendering and they're dominating.
And yes.
Or vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the power exchange is not equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's been my issue too. I've attracted people who are very emotionally unavailable. And I'm
because we want to fix them.
Is that what it is?
Because we're so emotionally
it's a
available.
savior complex.
It is. No, it really is. Like we have so much love. And again, I am totally going off of just by like knowing you. Like we have so much love to give that we were like let's show you the world, like how beautiful it is, and like I want to fix it and for you. And it's like no, it's not our duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I do have that problem.
Well, we knew this. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
You know that deep within.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I'm trying to catch myself before I repeat the same patterns.
Yeah.
That's where I stand with love right now, if that makes sense.
So you're not seeing anybody?
No.
Not yet.
Don't look at the camera like that.
She's single.
Perpetually.
Yeah, right? No,
perpetually.
God. And then I'm like out of town, so I wouldn't even be able to even meet anybody.
No, you're always
point.
gone.
Yeah.
This is the ongoing joke.
Yeah. I believe my soulmate is in like Europe somewhere.
I see that for you.
You know, or you like UK.
Yeah.
I like a good accent. They need to have an accent for sure.
I love an accent too. What is that?
I don't know.
I just think ours is so like boring.
Yeah, because we hear it every day.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, that's true. So as you mentioned at the beginning, you're a very spiritual person, and I know that's an essential part of your identity. Where does that come from? Has it always been there?
Oh, yeah, I've really, really always, I've like the earliest I remember is when I was like 7 years old, and like, yeah, having these like visions, and it's like geometric, like sacred geometry shapes and visions, and I was just so scared, and like seeing this like eye, and it was essentially my third eye. And then at 13, I remember, or 13 or 12, I remember crying to my mom, being like, I can't hear my cat talk. So I've been very spiritual in that kind of like weird, like esoteric way. So yeah, it's always been a part of me. And being an intuitive empath, like always.
Wow. See, I've come into it later in life.
Or you've come into understanding it later in life.
Yeah, because I was raised in a household that was very scientific, for lack of a better term. Very, how do I phrase this? What's right in front of you is what you believe. At least that's kind of how my dad views the world.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because when I think about my childhood, I never really viewed it that way. I always saw that there was something under. But when I started meeting people who were more spiritual, I started to understand what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And what I believe now.
Yeah, it resonated.
Yeah, it resonated.
Cool.
Yeah. But it was I never really understood what it was growing up.
Yeah, God, that's interesting. The more and more I really do, like, I have this whole mystic community, and a lot of people say that, and I've always just had this innate understanding of it. Like, I remember practicing telepathy when I was literally, like, in 5th grade with a friend. We were trying to practice telepathy, and then, like, some weird shit, dude. I was a weird kid.
Yeah.
And it got so weird where I remember being like, I can't, like, I have to really suppress this because it was scary to me.
Yeah. Do you still feel that way now?
Absolutely not, because I think as we at a global conscious level are really understanding more and more, different degrees of it, right? So now I think after COVID, it was like, I'm going to go and totally tell you, everyone, and be unafraid how weird I am. And weird. of like
I
can
love how
see,
weird you are.
I can see not just I'm not an intuitive but empath. I can see your essence, and I can see all the different lives the versions of lives you've lived, and
which is fascinating. Like you can read people's past lives.
Yeah, and again, let's like it's not past. It's because there's no past and there's no future. Everything is happening all simultaneously, like fractals, right? And so it's every version of who you are right now, that way that you just, all these different timelines that you're playing out.
That's so interesting.
And you know that.
I do know that.
Yeah.
I had an experience with you a couple of years ago where you touched me and you saw like a mobster, essentially. And then I had a couple weeks after that, I had a card reading by someone who has absolutely no relation to you whatsoever. No contact to you whatsoever. And she read my past life, quote unquote, and I was a mobster.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I didn't believe in past lives, I do now.
Yeah. And we got in detail of that. Like, you were such a good mobster. But like ridiculous. You were undercover being like, this isn't right. Like the stuff that you were told to do. You were,
Yeah, which might be the reason I am the way I am now.
100%.
Or one of
and
the
that's
reasons.
What's so fascinating is I can see how this is like zoomed out, how it's all played out into what you're doing now and what this current state of reality is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes when I talk to you, I know you see right through me. And I'm like,
wait, I wonder if that's like what the community also thinks about me. Like when I look at people, I literally am like, I'm seeing every like beautiful version but not judging.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like
judge,
I'm not judging because like I'm seeing all these versions of you, and like it's still so beautiful to me. I mean, that's what was so great about being a wedding photographer, is like seeing all the couples and seeing how they literally are working together in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's this magic.
It's very interesting being around a person who can literally see right through you, because I can't hide in front of you, and it's kind of...
You feel naked?
A little bit. In a sense, but I've always felt that way around you. I'm like, I know I can't hide who I am. You see the dark and you see the light and everything in between. And it's kind of beautiful because you can hide that from 99% of people, but I know I can't hide my raw, true self around you. And it's kind of nice in a sense. It's very freeing.
I love that you think that, because a lot of people get triggered by that because they're afraid to see themselves, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at them and I'm just like not even saying a word, they're so triggered, and I understand that.
Yeah.
Because also I'm human. I'm having this human reality as well. I'm not, even though I have these abilities that I've really honed in and worked for. Like it's like going to the gym. So I've gone to the gym and done the work in this. I'm still human, and so I'm like, I get it. I understand that.
Yeah, totally. I know you've had those interactions with people where they do feel kind of triggered. And at times, sometimes it is scary. Like, I'm definitely human, and there's a part of me that wants to protect myself. But for the most part, I'm pretty okay with being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm okay with it.
Do you think it's because we know each other as well? And so like how I do think that is like something sacred that I hold, and I don't like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Are you saying it is it because we have an existing relationship?
Yeah.
Maybe, in part. I think that helps, but I have thought about that. I've been drawn to you since the day I met you.
Yeah.
So
same.
Yes and no. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because I always wondered, like, I understand like meeting people and then they feel triggered, and it's like, well, yeah, because like they don't know me and they just don't know what I would do with that information. I've done a couple readings where I saw really deep with people, and they got so triggered, and the next day it was just like I was ghosted, like just totally shunned by them, and I was just like, I get like that's terrifying, but just know that like I hold it so sacred. It's not judgmental. I'm not going to tell anybody, like, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I've never gotten that vibe from you. Like, you're very accepting of the way that people are in their current state. Better than myself, for sure. For sure.
It's true. For sure.
Jeez. Okay. I can admit my faults.
I don't think I've always been that way, though.
Yeah.
Like, bet you my siblings would be like, no, like, that's who I'm most human with, right? Is like my siblings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
real.
they'll be like, what version of Kelly are you getting? What the heck?
They're like, what?
What?
Yeah. I feel like my sister would see right through me too.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely sees the most raw version of me.
Yeah.
I guess this is kind of going off of that, but do you think there's a connection between spirituality and queerness?
100%.
What is that connection?
Do we have time? Oh my God. So
And summarize to the best of your abilities.
I mean, like, I believe that everything was just like the beginning stages of things, right? And like this goes into science. This is going into like how even like atoms are created and divided. And so I think that being queer is understanding the masculine and the feminine energy and how that manifests itself, right? And it's funny because I was telling my ex-wife this like back in 2013, and I said to her, I was like, I had this dream that I really believe by 2050, because everyone will be so aware of self and like the masculine, and like even you're looking at Gen Z, there's so many non-binary gender fluid people, right? It's because they're understanding the fluidity of these energies.
Yeah.
And so I told her, I was like, I believe in 2050 we are going to be such this androgynous race of humans, and that's us transcending duality. So yeah, it's all
Oh, that's interesting.
coinciding. And this is me really skimming the surface because there's so many nuances to this.
Oh, okay. So you think it's, to summarize, is queerness to you expanding duality?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's having the courage of understanding, like, when we enter this realm, there's so many already like templates put into play. And so I think in one version of this, that a queer person entering this realm is like, no, I'm not going to, like, I don't believe in any of these templates. I'm transcending this realm already, and I'm going to be my truest essence. I believe our truest essence is energy, and we just are fluid and flowing.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe queerness is.
Oh, that's
is
so
playing in this materialistic version of our truest essence.
Where do you think queerness comes from?
Comes from?
Like within the self.
I think it's an expression of our energy.
Yeah.
Of like what we're trying to play out in this materialistic realm, in this 3D, very like, you know, tangible realm. We're just, it's just energy expressing that fluidity of energy, of masculine, of feminine, the blending or not blending, like all that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. Because, I mean, obviously, people say that you're born gay. And I'm a firm believer that, I mean, I know I was. You know, I think it could be case by case, but I know for myself, I was definitely, for as long as I can remember, since I was like 2 or 3, I've known. And maybe that's because I always had this sort of masculine and feminine blend within myself. I've known that for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I know where you're getting at, because I remember we were talking about this.
Yeah.
But now that, like, because there's so many different parts to it, and that's why I said in this specific version of what I'm talking about, like, yeah, I think that it's just queerness is an expression of the energy at its essence, right?
Yeah,
and however it wants to play out to be. So when someone's like, being gay is not a choice, right? I was born this way.
Yeah.
It's because I think innately your essence already knew, right?
That's interesting. That's
so
interesting.
It retracts what I said before over the phone with you of being like, I believe that we have a choice.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
I still do believe we have a choice. But you chose before you were born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're talking about reincarnation, let's just say that, because I think most people will understand that concept rather than us like living out different versions of who we are, right? So if we're having a reincarnation, you're already choosing your parents. You're already choosing what era you're wanting to step into this planet Earth, right? And so you're choosing how your essence is going to manifest itself.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because before I was saying it and it was very blunt of being like, no, I believe that we have a choice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't dive into it fully, but
the way you're saying it is that we choose before we're born.
Yeah. So if you're born, you're like, I was born this way. Yeah, it's because you already had a choice. You already knew. You innately knew.
You knew that you were going to have this sort of expanding beyond duality within yourself.
Yeah.
Or expansion.
And you knew,
how you would phrase it.
You knew the time that you were entering, and it was going to be probably a complicated time, right? You already choose that. I believe that. I believe that we know that.
That's so interesting. So I guess, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this like follow-up question because it's kind of difficult. But me, for example, I would have no idea that I had made that decision unless you just told me. So how do you go about explaining that to somebody?
I think everybody does know that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is it just something that we're consciously denying?
Yeah. I really, really do that. Or do believe that. And I believe that actually, do me a favor.
Yeah.
I want you to go home and I want you to do a meditation and ask yourself that. And really play back. Be like, show me the time that I actually chose to be this person. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're going to have these weird visuals and you're probably going to dismiss it because as humans, we are great people in dismissing things. And so I want you to just play that out and just like tell me what comes up.
Okay. So, I have another question about this. If we understand that being queer is going to lead to a harder life, like a more difficult life, then why did we choose it?
Because it goes, okay.
It's very multifaceted, I know.
Yeah, like, I believe as, like, okay. I heard a really amazing quote from somebody that I really, like, believe is on the same spiritual, like, understanding and language that we have. And he said, his name is Matthias Stefano, and he said that, you know, we think that we need to take care of this earth, but we don't understand that we are innately like an amoeba of this planet. Like the world is, or the planet is us, and we are the planet. Yeah. So if we need to take care of this planet, we need to take care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it just echoes and vibrates to being one and the same. Mm-hmm. So with that concept in mind, saying that we are this planet, I really believe that the planet is shifting in vibration of understanding masculine and feminine. Mm-hmm. Like the ancients believe when this planet first was birthed, it was all feminine energy. And then it shifted into this very masculine energy. Like we're still living in it. But I believe that it's shifting back to a feminine energy. Mm-hmm. And so that's also playing innately within us as well. Like, how many times did you hear somebody in our queer community who's a masculine energy is feeling their divine goddess?
Oh my God, so many times.
And I bet you anybody across the world, like even men, like toxic masculinity, or men are being like, I'm really understanding the nurturing aspect of self. Mm-hmm. And that's a feminine, swing of energy. So going back to queerness, I think that there is, it goes, again, it's intangible, or it's tangible, it's in tandem with one another of like the planet is needing this energy and therefore we are coming into this energy of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually does make sense.
I hope it makes sense to everybody because it's really hard to explain, but basically what I'm saying is like, we are shifting it with our energy, but then it's also being shifted because of the planet's energy. So
we're choosing to take part in this movement?
In the shifting of frequency.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense.
How there's
it's like self-sacrifice.
I don't know if it's self-sacrifice. Well, that's interesting. Anybody can actually receive this energy and play it into being, but like that's the joke about how lesbians are really love camping and love being in nature kind of thing too. It's kind of like we're going back to Mother Earth in that sense. I don't know if that just tricked up everything, but yeah.
No, that does make sense. And when I really stop and think about it, and this is kind of an ongoing joke in the gay community, but people say, would you choose to be gay if you had the choice? And my answer to that is yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think being straight's kind of boring.
Boring? But also, it's like if you like, we
If you
like
wanna
that
play the
challenge.
joke,
We want to
yeah.
rebel. We like that's our we like that.
Yeah, I actually do like that.
Yeah,
I
same.
I mean, this is how I feel the most comfortable, definitely in my expression. I love the way that I present to the world as more masculine.
Yeah.
But does that come with challenges? Absolutely. Do I like the challenges? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I've always said I'm a
Yeah.
catalyst, and I've always loved being a catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be like, and it's a catalyst in a good way of like, I want to do something that triggers you to make you change your perspective,
Yeah.
and how that now like even when I grew up Christian,
Mm-hmm.
so I would still challenge these people's beliefs by just innately being like my energy.
Yeah.
And then when I became queer, when I chose to manifest this energy into queerness, then like I was still challenging and being a catalyst. Like that's my, I think, divine like alignment is like being this catalyst for change.
Yeah, I completely understand that.